Once upon a time, there was a baby elephant named Buba. He lived his whole life in the African plains. Buba had a wide imagination. Sometimes he would stay in the watering hole after the herd was done drinking, playing by himself. He would make believe that there were other worlds other than his own, and he would always play the hero in his own stories. Today, he was pretending to be putting out a fire by splashing water from his trunk. He was having an especially fun time when he realized he could blow bubbles. He loved it and was chasing around the bubbles and popping them, staring at them as they fly around randomly. Then he decided to try and blow the biggest bubble in the world. So he blew and blew and blew until the bubble got so big that it surrounded his whole body. It felt so cool and light inside the bubble, and suddenly when he looked down, he realized he was floating in mid-air. He laughed, making the bubble jiggle, so he was quiet and still. A gust of wind lifted him up, up, up into the sky. Buba was so excited, but also scared. He had only ever left home in his imagination. He had no idea what was really out there. Another gust of wind came from the west and carried him east. Buba let go of control and let the breeze take him where it may. He watched with curious eyes as the landscape below him changed into water. The bubble flew faster and faster. Buba had never seen an ocean before. After a long while, the ocean led to the shores of a new land. This surface looked nothing like the African plains. They had been flat and easy to see all the animals on, but here the trees were so tall and thick that's all he could see from above. This made him even more curious, and he decided to take the risk and go down to see for himself. With great courage, Buba stuck his trunk out and burst his own bubble. Pop! And he fell down, 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 luckily landing in a river. He drank and shook the water off with his ears. Then he slowly started exploring. He noticed that the jungle was so much greener than home. There were so many little creatures living in the tangled trees. While walking, he had to watch out for roots and thorns on the ground. He struggled to walk without running into branches, when all of a sudden he heard a familiar sound. He listened closely and recognized it as the sound of a herd of elephants. He followed their calls until he found them all together feeding on some grass. He was so excited that he ran towards them screaming, "Jumbo!" They all turned for a moment with puzzled looks on their faces, but none of the elephants gave him more attention, except for one little one, and she said, "Namaskar, my name is Shanti." "Jumbo Shanti, my name is Buba. Please tell me, where am I?" "You are in India, but now you tell me, why are your ears so big?" Buba didn't know how to answer, and now he looked at the herd again and realized they looked very different from any elephants he had seen before. They were smaller in size, their skin was smoother, and some of them didn't even have tusks. Shanti pulled her father's tail and said, "Papu, look how this elephant's ears are so big." Her father turned around and was shocked at how different Buba was. All at once, the rest of the herd surrounded him, staring and whispering. The father said, "Where did you come from, O big-eared elephant?" "From across the water, a land we call Africa." "Ooh, Africa. Why do you look like this? Is something wrong with your skin for it to be so wrinkly?" "No, we all look like this where I come from." "Well then, how did you get over here?" I flew over here in a bubble." "Do you think this is funny? Someone who looks like you better not make jokes. Go back where you came from." Buba hung his head in shame. He knew no one would believe him. The herd all followed the father and left Buba behind, all except for Shanti, who came back a little while later to find Buba alone and sad. "Did you really come here in a bubble?" "Yes, but do you really believe me?" "I guess I do, but it does sound crazy. And why would you leave your own land?" "I wanted to see another world. I was curious to learn what else was out there. And look, I found you." "All right then, teach me more about Africa." Buba and Shanti shared stories and talked until the night. They became great friends, and every day Shanti would come visit Buba to learn more from him about Africa and the creatures there. But she noticed that when he was quiet for a moment, he was sad, feeling left out by the rest of the herd. So one day, she decided to do something about it. She went to her father and said, "Papu, I think we need to accept Buba as an elephant just like us. He's left out and alone, and for what?" "No way, Shanti. Don't you see he's so different? He's too big and too wrinkly. He speaks words we don't understand. It's dangerous. I mean, what is Jambo anyways?" "Jambo means hello in Swahili, Papu, just like Namaskar in Hindi. We can understand if we only try." Imagine if I was in Africa. Would you want me to be left alone like this? Papu paused to ponder what his young but wise daughter was saying. He realized he had been wrong and decided to send with her an invitation for Buba to join the herd. Buba gladly accepted and lived for months with them, ever so happily. He traveled India with them and learned so much about this land and its fascinating creatures. One morning, Shanti awoke and could not find Buba. She looked everywhere until she arrived at the river. There she saw small bubbles and instantly knew that he must have flown away. Maybe he had gone back to Africa because he missed it, or maybe he wanted to see a whole new world because he was still curious. Either way, she never forgot him, and every year, when she saw bubbles at the river on that day, she wondered if she would ever catch her own and go with the wind.
The story of Buba and Shanti is part of the educational tool we developed throughout the Kenya Makan human rights training here in Amman. And the name of the activity is called Freedom from Discrimination, based on intercultural dialogue. Our aim is to show diversity and teach and encourage acceptance of the differences between us, with the main focus on our similarities. We are all human beings after all. And the aim is the implementation of Article number 2 from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is freedom from discrimination. Knowledge, the knowledge inside of the activity is freedom from discrimination, is about geography, and it's about biology related to the elephant species. And also about intercultural dialogue. Skills, decision-making, critical thinking, teamwork, active listening. The attitudes could be empathy, respect, imagination, curiosity, cooperation, non-discrimination, and acceptance.